Hello everyone, and thank you for joining us today. We are a couple of people from Valtech office in Paris, expecting more people to join remotely, as we have some other people not in Valtech presenting today. So if you didn't register or join the user group in OrderCloud, please do it. You have the link in the slide that we'll share later. And also there is a QR code you can scan in the screen. So yeah, thank you for everyone that got the time to join, and especially for the speakers. And yeah, for Valtech for allowing us to do it here. And for the guys here in the room, we have some drinks and some snacks that we can take during the breaks or after the sessions. Yeah, so as you can see, we have quite a packed agenda today. A lot of different topics, exciting stuff. So I'm going to start with a quick overview of the Sitecore Symposium, and then Sandeep will be talking about living with Sitecore headless projects, skills, opportunities, and limitations, followed by Amitabh and Ben, that will be presenting Navigating the Digital Mesh, strategies for global website excellence on the path to composable. That was actually a breakout session within the symposium. So yeah, really looking forward to this one. Then Vinay will be presenting secrets management made simple, best practices for Sitecore Kubernetes, followed by Elakkuvan, who will be presenting integrating microfrontend architecture with Sitecore, headless, and Next.js. Ram here will be presenting building effective integration with Sitecore, and Daniel from the US will be presenting how to build a low-code, no-code, OrderCloud backoffice application. And we finish with Ehsan, who will be presenting a demo on XM Cloud development with GitHub Codespaces. I'm Miguel. I'm a Global Sitecore Tech Director at Valtech. Been working with Sitecore since 2010. My first certification was Sitecore 6.4. I'm 3 times MVP. Been Valtech since 2017. And yeah, I'm from Argentina. I moved to France actually when I joined Valtech. Below you have my social networks if you want to connect. So as I mentioned, I will be doing a quick recap or highlights from the symposium this year. I'm very happy that I was able to attend the symposium in Nashville. It was great, not only because the city is amazing, but also I think really exceeded the expectations. This is not only my feeling, I think, because yeah, talking with other people, I think we all share the same feeling. So, and again, it's not only about the announcements, but also the refreshed Sitecore, I would say, as a company, the new leadership team that really looking forward to change stuff, to improve, to learn from the mistakes. And I think the messaging and the strategy division is really bringing again back some hope to the Sitecore community, which I think is still really, really strong. So again, I think it's clear they took, let's say, some steps back, and yeah, hearing from partners, from customers especially, even from the community, and they are really committed to improve stuff and improve things. I will join the MVP Summit the first day before the symposium, and also I really like the new approach, or yeah, compared to previous ones where it was not only presenting stuff, it was also about hearing or yeah, gathering feedbacks. Even we had collaborative sessions like workshops. So I think it's really appreciated because it's really demonstrating that they want to change, they want to hear and do things properly. So in terms of announcement and what I'm going to cover in the next 15 minutes, I'm going to start with Sitecore Stream. I think most of the people here already hear about it. With that, they introduce the vision of an intelligent DXP, which I will also cover a little bit. Then I'm going to talk about the Sitecore Marketplace that basically came here. Yeah, I think it was a missing piece on the puzzle to really move to SaaS model. And then a little bit on the HIPAA compliancy, which is mostly important, big milestone for the US and specifically for the health industry. And then I'm gonna, only some bits on the product roadmap and the strategic vision, because I think also something that really like from the symposium is that they share a lot in terms of roadmap, in terms of vision for each and every product. So there's a lot of material. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna do some follow-up sessions later on this, but I won't get time today to go really deeper on this. So Sitecore Stream is a set of add-ons and orchestration on top of all the Sitecore products that basically will enhance each and every product with AI. And it's also including XMXP platform, which is, I think, a very great news for customers that are still on-prem or still on the XMXP. They can also benefit from Stream. So, as I mentioned, yes, it's a set of add-ons and orchestrations for the whole product suite. And there is three main elements. The first is the AI-enhanced workflows that basically going to handle the repeated and tedious tasks, and then freeing up the marketing teams to focus on high priority work on something else, right? Improve the whole thing by automation and AI. The second one, which is generative copilots, that will support the creation of content, of experiences, basically accelerating the creative process. So as you can see in the right side, from strategize, brief, create, build, and optimize. And the last one, which I personally think is the most impressive one, is about the brand-aware AI that will automatically ensure that all the actions, all the content are adheres to the organization brand values and guidelines, meaning that you're gonna keep the brand consistency, brand tone of voice, and stuff like that. Let's say a little of streaming action in this video here. With the stream, then Sitecore is moving towards an intelligent DXP. So basically, composable DXP, what we have today, and giving a stream with all the intelligence or AI, generative copilots, and the workflows will end up with intelligent DXP. And two things I forgot to mention. One is about security or confidentiality. So they are really committed to don't share data. I mean, data belongs to the customer, so they won't be, for example, training a model for another vendor, for another customer. And the second one is about flexibility. So the idea behind this, of course, we are in the DXP world, so we cannot expect everything to be the same vendor. The idea is to also bring your own data. So meaning by APIs, you can also consume data from other products or platforms, and also bring your own AI, meaning that you are not forced to use OpenAI as is used by default. You can use your own model as well. So as I mentioned, Intelligent DXP is for Sitecore the vision of the next area of DXPs. It embeds AI through the entire marketing life cycle, and the goal is for marketers to achieve faster time to market, reduce the cost, and deliver impactful, brand consistent digital experiences across the customer journey.
To fully grasp the potential of generative AI for our brands, we need to store and leverage our 3,000 brand strategic documents and campaign toolkits and safely integrate them with powerful Gen AI tech in one secure place. To create Nestlé's unique brand assistant enabled by Content Hub, we've partnered with Sitecore and Microsoft innovation teams over the last year to pilot and leverage the power of Gen AI with Nestlé brand guidelines and toolkits. We trained the AI brand assistant with our strategic brand guidelines, our campaign toolkits and brand assets, including text, images, and videos from our brand portals. This powerful assistant will transform the way we access our brand knowledge because it will enable our brand managers and creative partners to efficiently retrieve, organize, and summarize information about our brands, providing them with the knowledge they need at their fingertips. Imagine being able to ask, "I'm new to the brand. Can you tell me the approved colors of Nescafé?" Or, "I want to know more about Nescafé. What information do you have on the brand history and archaeology?" Our brand assistant will provide instant answers, ensuring that our brand managers are equipped with the knowledge they require to make informed decisions. Welcome to the future of content operations at Nestlé.
The next big announcement was around Marketplace. From my point of view, that's filling a gap that was really expected in the SaaS world. So that should be the way we should be customizing and extending the platform rather than deploying custom images, for example. It's kind of similar to what the Sitecore Marketplace used to be a couple of years ago. So of course, you're gonna end up with faster development because you can reuse add-ons from third parties. You're gonna be trusted by Sitecore and partners. And there are gonna be like three main categories: standalone apps like DAM connectors or e-commerce catalog synchronization, or monitoring, observability tools, and risk management. Then plugins like media library integration, page speed performance, or core vitals translators, for example. And the last one, which is starter kits, basically site templates and upload components per industry. Then Ram has a session later that will be covering integrations. I'm going to talk a little bit more about the marketplace. Then the other big announcement was about HIPAA readiness. For the ones that are not familiar with that, because it's really only for the US, it's a law to protect the privacy and security of the medical information. So this brings a lot of potential business to the health industry. And XM Cloud, Content Hub, CDP, Personalized are already HIPAA compliant, and they are also planning to bring OrderCloud and Search. As I mentioned, yes, was a lot around roadmaps, so I'm gonna cover only XM Cloud, a bit of Content Hub and platform. I mean, in XM Cloud, there's a lot long-term, short-term, and vision in terms of features and improvements. I think one of the main announcements is that experiences are gonna be removed from XM Cloud, so pages will be the only visual editing experience. There's some improvements on the data source management and the way you can extend the visual editing also, I think, by the marketplace. The design library with component tooling, and also we have a quick demo of using AI to build components. It was even building the markup, so that's really interesting. Market dashboard with insight strategy, and also a way to extend it. Next generation publishing, which I think it's an important one, because publishing is one of the main pain points for XM Cloud today. So instant publishing will solve this in terms of performance, and the other issue, which is lack of visibility, what is going on at the moment. So total publishing visibility will help to see which jobs are running, what is getting published, and stuff like that. There's a lot of improvements in terms of sites management, multi-site campaigns, site templates, and so on. And I think the most important one here is development experience, freedom of choice. So in terms of frameworks, they already released the NetCore SDK. I think they are planning soon to release the Angular, and they're planning to release a lot. and made all those also open source. So it will be more like community driven, and everybody can help building and improving all those. Open accessibility also be a marketplace, unify Sitecore Cloud to power stream, identity, unified API access, and workflow management. Okay with the time. On the Content Hub, this is only the AI part, because again, in Content Hub, there's a lot of stuff in the roadmap. They already released image tagging, video analysis, and they are planning to release semantic and image-based search, text and content generation, bring your own AI, deep search, guidelines, and brief creation support. I'm going to go fast because I think this is an important one I would like to mention. Again, is the commitment from Sitecore, top-down decision to stay, supporting XMX platform on-prem customers. And I think this is something really, they listen to the feedback to the customers and then they change it. I think L'Oreal is a good example here, right? So as they say, so they are committed to continually modernizing XM and XP. And I think giving also a stream as an option for XP, XM is demonstrating that. And I think at some point they know that most of the customers will be moving to SaaS, moving to cloud, but some customer needs time, right? So I think the idea here is to support them and still bring innovation all along the path to SaaS. So for that, a little bit on the roadmap for XMXP. As you can see, a lot of different releases on 10. As you can see, the main idea here is first to fix issues and security stuff on the old versions, but also the idea is to make sure that the upgrades happen smoothly. So they're going to release those to reduce the amount of breaking changes when upgrading. There's a lot on the stream. For platform DXP, as you can see, generative copilots, brand and content generation, A/B testing, item generation, brainstorming with AI, and also a lot of in terms of modules. As you may know, now they're going to release a lot of features as modules like XM to XM Cloud migration, edge publishing improvements, MVC to headless, and SaaS port integration, which again is one of the most important ones, and this will unblock XMXP platform to work, for example, with the stream. I'm right in time, so again, I don't have time for questions, but feel free to reach out. And again, please join us on the outside. Thank you. Sandeep, whenever you're ready.
Hello, hi everyone. So this is Sandeep. Thank you for joining. So I'm Sandeep Bhatia from India, Valtech India, and I'm in Valtech from last 7 years, and I'm working on a headless project mainly on the Next.js one from last 2 years, and I just wanted to share some experience and learnings we have on this project, mainly around the skill set which we need and the problems which we got in our day-to-day activities, and what would be the long-term learning things people need for working on a project like this. So the agenda is this one. I'll be quick because it's a 15 minutes lightning talk. And to start with, we know that when we talk about the traditional CMS, we have the CMCV architecture, which is hosted on-premise or Azure Web Apps, and the front end is tightly coupled with the traditional way. And then when we talk about the headless one, we have the content delivery availability through the APIs or Experience Edge, and we have multiple front ends options, which would be relative to the specific devices, like whether it's a laptop or an IoT device, and everything is consuming the APIs from the CMS delivery. So Coming to that, when we see that, and this is a typical diagram, which is from the Sitecore documentation, which tells like you have development, then you have a JSS SDK availability, with which could be either in Next, React, Angular, or you can have in the .NET Core, and then you have different deliveries which could be from a GraphQL or a REST APIs, and then you have a front end which would be used as a rendering host as well as an editing host to build up the front end solution and do the editing and preview. So to understand this, being a front end or a back ender, you need to understand the SDK internal or native code structure, how the wrappers have been written around it. So you have to go through the SDKs available for the specific language which you are using, which is very much required for working on a headless project. And you need to understand the nitty-gritty of those internal functions and wrappers available to make your component development and your application development easy. That is something as a very prerequisite for you to work on that. If I talk about the front ender, then obviously they'll have to learn more. And then if I talk about the back ender, then they'll have to understand the language first, and then they will have to understand the concept of these SDKs availability. Then this is a typical a layout response looks like, which is quite easy to understand as it's a JSON, and which can be binded and mapped with the front end components, which could be in the specific SDKs available from Sitecore, and whether it's Angular, Vue, or Next. So when I talk about a typical technology stack for an XM project here, I'm talking about the XM because I have experience on that, not on any SaaS offering like XM Cloud. So we have a XM, Sitecore XM or XP a role. We have a headless package on that. We use CLI serialization. We use item as resource files for that. Items movement between environments. For the tooling, we use Docker, DevOps, container registries for AKS, Terraform for infrastructure management. Then for the redirects, again, we need something like Nginx, reverse proxy. For the front end, cache, we could use Cloudflare, and along with that, workers. Then we need a specific library like Next.js and the specific schemas in TypeScript. Then there would be a lot of things when you are talking about application which is very much scaled and needs a lot of micro front-end support and micro front-end architecture. So you would be needing to document your component development storybook. You need a Swagger for the API descriptions. So all that stuff comes day to day in this kind of headless projects, and you really need to wear multiple hats in the day to do all this stuff. So that's what the requirements comes in this. When I talk about the major teams or the pillars, having in a typical enterprise level project, again, it's not required essentially, but this is normally a recommendation for a medium to large scale project. Like you would be having a local tooling, which will not be a team, but a pillar, like using a Docker and the other tools you're gonna build up your tooling, right? And you would be having a good architect and architecture team, which will be giving you and guiding you to have the scalable and integrated recommended architecture. The infrastructure team will be there to handle the infrastructure part and do the basic operations in the Terraform scripts, and then everything should be configurable through the ISE registries. For the Sitecore team, we are talking about us, where a typical Sitecore developer would be learning the front-end part, and also they will be learning the headless capabilities, apart from the component and template modeling and the other things which they normally have done in their past experiences on the XP or normal MVC projects. And then obviously the headless capabilities, and then for the front end they will have to make them aware with the Next.js and React libraries, whether it's Redux or some other cache management things and Nextauth and all that stuff. And basically they will have to understand how the specific component or React hooks work for the complex day-to-day activities. Then if it's an enterprise application, then the rollouts will be there. Like you will have to roll out multiple markets, whether it's for a specific language or a specific country. For that, there will be some dedicated team which will be taking the MVP as a base and working on that rollouts over the period of time. CI/CD would be there for each of the teams and their environments, whether it's a Terraform pipelines, or it's a normal development pipelines, or it's a rollout pipeline to feature flag some changes in the specific environments. You would be needing the slots availability for that. And the normal content authoring experience again would be the one which will be accountable for enterprise application. So when we talk about tooling, we have Docker. You need to be understanding the Docker commands. You need to understand in the front end. You need to understand the when you're talking about a monorepo, you need to understand the turbo repo or NX capabilities, and there are some other libraries also which you need to be understanding from the front end developer perspective. Then I will go further, like how you'll need to wear the multiple hats. Storybook again for the front ender, testing libraries again for the front ender, Sitecore CLIs for the back enders, and then you need to also be aware as a back ender on the CI/CD pipelines, how you can automate the deployments and the blue-green deployments specifically. So when we talk about the backend, you need to be very much expert on the serialization. You may need to have serialization control on different environments. Maybe like you would have to manage multiple images for the local tooling, not pushing so much content, but some more content for your QA, and then no content at all for your stage and prod. So there'll be different conditions you will have to put, and variants of script you'll have to write on. Again, item as risk commands, you need to generate custom dat files for different websites or different tenants. That's also maybe one thing you will have to do. You will have to play with the layout services or the GraphQL, whether you're using a Polo graphical client or something. You'll have to play with the data source resolvers. You need to very much have a good command on the PowerShell, because in the day-to-day activities on the headless application, you can't put much logic on the .NET scripts, but you have to play with the PowerShell, whether it's on the CM or you need to do it in the front end in the Docker scripts. So again, the infrastructure management you should be aware, because there are a few things which infra team cannot do alone, and they would be needing the context of the application code and the other understanding. So again, that will be very important for a headless project. For the Solar search, you will have to be very careful, because there are certain limitations having your Solar hosted in the AKS. So that's something you'll have to be careful, and you'll have to tune a lot. That's what our experience is. And then again, if you're using website search capabilities like Algolia, Covio, you have to understand their SDKs and how you would gonna implement those. So that will be also be important. So again, for a backend developer, you need to write a .NET. That is like the basic thing you would be already carry forwarding, and then you will have to write a lot of PowerShells, whether it's for the CLI or it's for the item as a resources commands, or like then you may have to write understand some Docker scripts wherein you would be transforming the custom images for the Docker availability, like whether it's for CMCD or any other container you would be building custom. So on the front end side, again, like you should have a basic understanding of Next.js or React, whichever SDK you're using. For the front ender, I found that they had a very basic or no knowledge for the editing behavior, how they can use the editing functions and wrappers in the Next.js component development. So that's what was a bit foggy area for them to understand, and it took a lot of time. You may need to support the micro front-end architecture, where you would need to consume and export a lot of components between the applications and between the repos actually. So that's something you will have to be well versed with. For us, like we are exporting our components to the other repos through the npm packages, and we are exposing our CD responses to them. We have written some REST APIs in the C# controllers, but again, you would need to understand those, and probably you need to put some logics in the props factories to understand this, and also in the middleware. For a front ender, you have to follow the Sitecore Next.js middleware logic and the page props factory logic to completely understand the logic which Sitecore SDKs are doing, and then how you can extend those files to adapt to the thing you would be requiring for your application. Again, you would be needing some hybrid support on the SSR, ISR, or SSG. So that again depends on the page or the specific component delivery you're looking for. For the scalable application on the front end, you might have multiple pods for the rendering host, which needs to be serving a common next cache. For that, you can use PVCs, or you can have the Redis cache. So that's again a typical thing, where the front ender has to be a knowledge of the backend stuff, or a backender has to pitch in and wear the hat of understanding the Next.js capabilities, and doing the things. For example, probably writing a custom cache handler in the Next.js to improvise these logics. So that's something I think normally in our project a backender has done, but again, it's not a hard rule that you have to come up with a .NET background. You won't be able to do this, because if you have to live long, then you will have to understand all these concepts to get it done. Otherwise, it's a tough game. So I think to stay long, you need to understand Next.js to the deep. You need to understand the different modes. You need to understand how the page performance can be improved, how you can leverage all these capabilities of Next.js and React libraries. You need to simplify the deployment process, and how you can reduce the other operations, which will not make it heavy during the build time and other stuff. Similarly, if you are going for a micro front ends, you need to understand how the micro front ends work, like how exactly you need to set up those applications, those components. You need to understand the basic things in advance, because in future, if the limitation will come, then it will be a problem for your complete application to do the restructuring. So it's better, like, if you have something in the roadmap for long, probably the best is to do it in advance. So I think then if I talk about the infrastructure and architecture, so we are using AKS with the Kate specs. So that is also a bit of heavy work, we have on our day-to-day life, wherein we have to do a lot of changes in these specs for each environments, and that's part of our repo. That's a good thing actually, because whenever we have to do some configuration changes, like a CPU increase, or we need to increase the horizontal scaling, or we need to increase do some changes, like we need to pass on a new variable from the Docker Compose. We can do that easily without having access to multiple repos. We are having a separate editing host for the experience editor. It's just a replica of our main rendering host, but it's not cacheable and shared with the scales, so it's easy to we have keep it simple. We are using key vaults, we are using terraforms, then we are using blue-green deployments, Grafana Faros. Again, being a backender, they will have to understand a lot on this. So I think the whole game lies in you have to understand a lot of PowerShell and the custom kubectl commands to see what particular commands you have to use in your pipelines, and probably you could have multiple variation of the pipelines for different works, like whether it's a rollout thing you're doing, and then these are the specs I'm talking about, wherein you need to. This is a spec for a site publishing service, so. Maybe you'll have to do some changes here. You need to pass on some specific variables or connection strings. So This is a typical diagram look like for infra diagram for AKS. So you see like we have multiple pieces wherein we have engines, we have CDs, we have RHCM, Sitecore Publishing Service. So all these have to be taken care by the your team, and whenever there are any changes, you will have to pitch in and resolve these. So that's a kind of liability, or probably you can say like a work you have to do always for a long term. Probably if you're gonna use Vercel or SaaS, Sitecore XM Cloud, then I think you'll get rid of all these things except the front end if you want to host in a specific node application. But yeah, if you're going for an XM, then you will have to keep in mind all these things that you will have to, control these things. So opportunities in the architecture again lies, like in the scalability. It should be scalable, flexible, and integration wise. I will go a bit fast. Then for us, we have been working on the MVP in the initial, like wherein the front end and the back end team was working in parallel, and they were doing the Sitecore first approach, wherein um, the, we follow something called Three Amigos, wherein we invite the backenders, frontenders, and QAs to the common meeting before a component development or any development, and we map out the things, and then we typically talk about how the specific component can be delivered, and then once we had the MVP, then the rollout team pitched in, which was doing the rollouts for each market. So that was the project execution. So again, skills for success is like you have to be the good understanding on the Sitecore XM headless, Next.js completely not like on the higher side, but you need to be an expert on the basic things. So please go through the learnings whenever you have time. Docker and Kubernetes daily. You will be working on multiple things around this for sure. Microfrontends again, which would be dependent on your project requirement. Have put Algolia here, but it will be a search. Like you would be either needing a Covio, Algolia, or Solar, and you would be having a lot of stuff around that. So you need to be ready for that. So I think you need to be very much careful with the version upgrades. Like there could be, for example, every Sitecore upgrade will gonna have effect on your JSS version, your Node version, your React version. So that could have some conflicts with your complete application and the different MFE. So you'll have to be very careful on that, keeping in mind. I think Miguel, you want to say something?
Yeah, just that we are out of time already. So
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll probably just share some learnings quickly. So learnings are like you need a solid foundations for the backend and front end both. You need to learn the full stack development skills if you want to stay long in the battle. You need to be infrastructure aware, not an expert at least, honestly. And you need to have a good collaboration with your front end colleagues in the beginning when you're working on the core development, because I think during that time there'll be dedicated people in the project. You will need to prioritize the Sitecore first development. That always works well. You need to be cautious with the caching because it can kill some stuff and take a lot of your time. You need to be aware on the version compatibility, and then you need to be also aware on the flexibility for future, like in case you're going for a Mac compatible complete architecture or a DXP composable architecture, your solution should be ready and easy to transition to that specific architecture. So I think that's it.
Thank you very much, Sandeep.
Free to reach out to me on LinkedIn or anywhere if you have any questions, or on Teams.
Sure, thanks. So Amita, Ben, whenever you're ready.
Sure. Thanks, Miguel. Nice talk, Sandeep. I like all the details you have put together and very precise summary on the Sitecore Symposium. Miguel, I think I'm pronouncing your name correctly. Let me quickly share my screen. Right. Can you see my screen?
Yeah, looks good.
Perfect. Okay, first of all, thank you so much for Sitecore User Club France to giving us opportunity to present today. We had the pleasure of presenting the same talk at Sitecore Symposium in Nashville. The topic we have today is navigating through a digital maze of a massive web and marketing landscape. Imagine yourself browsing through a website and looking for a simple piece of information. After multiple clicks, endless navigation, an inconsistent user experience, and possibly a broken search, you find yourself trapped in a digital maze with no way out. Now imagine the same experience for more than 300 websites belongs to the same organization, and then replicate the same frustrated user experience for more than 10 million users all across the globe annually. In the session today, we are going to talk about how we at Johnson Controls have navigated and solved the digital maze of a massive web and marketing landscape, and then created a smart, sustainable, and a future-ready MarTech architecture. We are going to talk about our challenges, our journey, our amazing results we have attained so far, and our future roadmaps. My name is Amitabh Vyas. I'm a solution architect at Johnson Controls for web and marketing. I bring over 18 plus years of IT experience with a relevant experience in Sitecore for more than 12 years. I'm honored to be awarded as a 4-time Sitecore Technology MVP. And today I have my partner in crime, Ben, with me.
That's good. Thanks, Amit. Ben Adamski, with Accenture Avanade, a director in the customer experience practice. I really focus on the solution architecture and technical delivery of our projects while looking at the overall strategy. I've worked with Sitecore since the better part of 2008, and have been a Sitecore MVP 3 times in the past, and I think this year was my 8th time presenting at Symposium. So I've been active in the community on a variety of topics, you know, some of the things even dating back to like Federated Experience Manager and so forth. So,
thanks, Ben. To all who don't know what Johnson Control is, we are a multinational company creating smart solutions, services, and softwares to make our buildings smart, safer, and sustainable. We are into the 90% of the most iconic commercial buildings in the world. If you talk about the United States, we are in the WTC, and we are in the Empire State Building. If we talk about Dubai, we are into the Future of Museum, which is an amazing building in the UAE region. With 100 years of experience, we are operational into more than 100 countries all across the globe, with more than a diverse workforce of more than 100,000 people all across the globe. In 2018, when 2 titans of the market, Johnson Controls and Tyco, merged together, we found ourselves with a fractured digital landscape with a variety of maturity and complexity all across our ecosystem. We had more than 300 websites, which were all public facing with an inconsistent user experience all across the platform. These websites belongs to more than 30 different brands at Johnson Controls, and these websites were built on a variety of tech stack. We are talking about ASP, ASP.NET, VB, VB.NET, C#. We had SharePoint, WordPress, Expression Engine, PHP, Java. We had homegrown CMSs, and we had those fancy flat HTML-based websites. So the challenges which we were having from an architecture perspective is we had an inconsistent and a disjointed user experience on all these 300 websites because of the variety of tech stack. Every website have its own implementation, own code base, own theme, its own CSS implementation, and so on and so forth. Since all these websites were built on different tools and technology, it was very difficult for us to integrate all these websites together and build a solid MarTech architecture which can support our future growth. Since all these websites were on different variety of tech stack and different versions, we were having a very hard time to integrate all these systems together, because if you talk about a MarTech, it is not just about your user experience. You have a lot of different parts of the MarTech, which I'm going to talk in the upcoming slides. So we were having a very hard time to build a centralized governed model which can support our growth going forward. And due to all these challenges, we were a bit hesitated adding any new shiny new platform to our ecosystem until unless we build a solid foundation, so that we can give a consistent user experience to our website visitors. In terms of governance, since every website was deployed on their own environment because of the dependency on the tech stack, we were having a very difficult time to implement a centralized governance and an oversight model. Because of the variety of tech stack, again, there were a lot of websites which were built on either a version which was already deprecated or about to deprecate. So we were leading towards an unmanageable technical debt very fastly. And we were paying a lot of cost to make sure our websites are up and running for our global web presence, with a very limited control on the scalability and the flexibility of the systems. At the same time, from the digital marketing space, on all these websites, we had a very underpowered lead generation engine. We were not able to create quality leads from the website, because that is one of the, if your website is not an e-commerce website, generating lead is the place where you can generate the most ROI from. Because of the old school and the legacy development approaches, we had a very low SEO and the accessibility score, which was badly impacting the global web presence of our websites. At the same time, we didn't have a real-time data analytics which we can pass on to our digital marketers, so that they can use that data to build smart decisions and provide a one-to-one customer experience to all the website visitors who are coming to our platform. So there in 2019, we started putting our brains together to define our North Star. What we were looking in terms of the architecture is we wanted a modernized platform, a solid web CMS, which can sit in the heart of our MarTech ecosystem and can be seamlessly integrated with all the third-party systems which we are going to eventually onboard. As I mentioned, when we talk about MarTech, it is not just about your web CMS. You have your PIM, you have your DAM systems, you have your ERP, you have your marketing automation, you have your tag management, your cookie compliance, your search experiences, you have your WAF, and so on and so forth. So we were looking for a platform which can support our growth, because eventually the plan is to migrate all these 300 websites from their siloed environment to a globally centralized ecosystem where all these websites can use a shared common code repository from the backend and can deliver a consistent user experience to all the website users who are coming to our websites. By the time since 2019, since we are building this ecosystem, we always had a mindset of a buy rather build. We were making sure that every platform we are adding to our ecosystem must be a SaaS-based platform, so that eventually it is going to make our composable journey easy going forward. From the governance side of the house, since all these websites need to be eventually migrated to this ecosystem, we wanted to make sure that our content operations are as autonomous as possible with minimum IT dependency, so that they can create multilingual content on their own. They can go and create the website. They can migrate the content if it is just a lift and shift, or if the content need to be created from scratch, they can follow that particular workflow. And we want to empower them with modern tools and technologies so that all the website can be migrated as soon as possible to this new to the new ecosystem, and we can achieve faster time to market. And at the same time, from a governance perspective, using a common code repository and shared design pattern library, we wanted to implement a centralized governance and the operations model. From the digital marketing perspective, we wanted to empower our marketers so that we can deliver a consistent global and personalized user experience to all the website visitors who are coming to all these 300 websites. We wanted to build a very powerful lead generation engine so that we can get as much more ROI from these websites, and will also wanted to empower the marketers with the data harmony from the data collection from platforms like Google Analytics and so on and so forth, so that they can use the data and can make smart decision at the right time. With that, I will pass on to Ben, who's going to talk about the journey and our results so far.
Awesome. Thanks, Amit. So as we talk about the journey that we go on, right, we want to talk about kind of, how and where we got started. So going in and, really, roll back the clock to 2020 and launching that SXA platform, starting with an initial site. And then we always think about the tech side, right? So an upgrade to the platform, right, is having that zero downtime deployment capability. That kind of sets the foundation so that you can scale up beyond just one site. So launching more sites, looking at high availability, so leveraging, features in Azure around active passive disaster recovery environments, and really laying down the patterns for future site migrations to help accelerate and launch more sites. 22 launching 40 sites and using the same shared foundation, integrations around location finders, product data, and then thinking of key things like resource pages that, pull data from different sources and put it all together, really meeting the needs of the customer and getting everything they need on one page, even if that means the data is coming from different systems. And, having all of these features, right, building onto that foundation. In 2023, launching an additional 30 sites, multi-brand capabilities, and then, looking towards the compliance aspect around things like cookie compliance and adding features that help be more one-to-one with the customer around blogs and so forth. And then on the tech side, things like, leveraging cloud solar and so forth. And then, this year, 24, 15 brand sites and the flagship site all on the platform, and then making a shift from XP to XM, and then getting the platform upgraded to version 10.3, right? So setting the stage for future growth on the platform, future capabilities around headless and so forth. And from a tech architecture perspective, kind of looking at the clustering and grouping of different capabilities within the platform. So you've got things like the table stakes, right? Web content management, still on PaaS today, but making sure it's set up in a way for headless and composable in the future by having everything else surrounding it be SaaS-based tools, whether it's the PIM or document systems, SaaS-based storage for location data and content creation, and then be engaging with the customers one-to-one, things like a sales development chatbot and account-based marketing, leveraging AI tools for that. There's obviously table stakes, tag management around, managing scripts across multiple sites, as well as cookie compliance, consent management. It's kind of grouping those together from a compliance and cookie management bucket, and getting into kind of the goals of a more advanced website, right? So the lead generation, the marketing automation, the social aspect, SEO and accessibility, looking at all of those together, right? And leveraging SaaS-based tools that are integrated into the platform for that. Obviously, there's the experiential and the search piece is kind of in the bottom left, but all of it together, right, is nothing without being able to measure it. So having, SaaS-based analytics tied together with customer data, and then being able to have those surveys and insights on the properties to really, help get the voice of the customer heard. And so we can go to the next slide. And here, if we take a look at from a template perspective, right, the goal of the platform, right, is to really have this set of white labeled components that can be shared across various sites, across both product brands as well as corporate, and have that consistent look and feel, but still, be able to have that brand autonomy. So, we've got an example here from the homepage as well as a branded site. They've got a lot of the same look and feel, but you can change the order of the components, change where they are, some of the styles, and there's a concept of a global theme and a local theme that allow you to, have a rich out-of-the-box experience for your brand, and then be able to tailor that down with the local theme exactly, how you may want. And this is, looking from a corporate perspective. And we've got another slide that shows some more examples of different offering pages as well. So a lot of this, right, this is configured and configurable for marketers. So the biggest thing is putting the power of being able to create these rich, high-fidelity experiences in the hands of the marketers, not having to have a developer for it, right? So the marketers have a lot of page layouts that they can pick from, and as well as being able to add components that are in the toolbox and so forth. So I think we might have one more slide with, some different options, right? It's tough to see sometimes in screenshots, but as you kind of click through, you can see how designs change, components move, right? It's kind of all of the core principles of Sitecore, really enabling and empowering the marketers to deliver those experiences and not have to wait and rely on developers. So on the path to composable, one of the biggest things that Amit talked about, and, my part on the architecture, right, is the, really making that shift to the decoupled SaaS-based integrations. That really ensures that you're ready to scale and that you're not going to be tied back to any limitations of on-premise systems and the like. And then looking at across all the platforms you have, whether they're on Sitecore today or you're looking to migrate to Sitecore, looking at the components and the theme strategy and really doing that analysis, and not just looking at the sites from a visual aspect, but looking at the usage and the analytics of those components on the page, and which ones are compatible, what might you have to do as you move to headless? Are these using different front-end technologies? How can we synthesize it? All of those types of analysis you kind of put into a matrix and look at, here's an inventory of all of the different ways that we present content to the users and how marketing is leveraging them. And then this really builds upon that concept, right, of doing the analysis, but is also, having that governance model. So looking at the content, the platform, component level governance, and all of these things to make sure that they're aligned with the future brand vision, future platform goals, along with Sitecore's roadmap, so that you've got everything kind of in the right spot and you're using the right features. As we dive into some of the results, can hop forward there. Overall, right, an ambitious program, moving hundreds of sites onto, one Sitecore Asset platform. The whole goal, right, is to eliminate that platform overlap, have that consolidation, not just to save money, but to help businesses up-level their brand for what they can do with the platform out of the box without having to make significant investments in development efforts, right? So being able to have that rich experience, but not have to, focus on the development. What can I get out of the box? How can I get that consistency? The one unified platform is kind of a byproduct of that enables the messaging to be coherent and consistent, and helps customers engage consistently, right? That kind of example in the previous slides around the resource page, those are consistent across the brands. So if I'm looking at one particular product on a brand site or another brand site, they've got the same look, feel, components, things are kind of in the same place and work together. So it makes it a lot easier to do business with. So, always keeping the customer in mind while, some side tangential benefits to marketers as well. And, all of this consistency, right, drives common ways of working. So you've got one set of common components across all the sites. That gives you a lot of consistency, but you still have to focus on flexibility. So making sure you still have things that are configurable and flexible via attributes, but the big benefit is having things like accessibility data and all of that native in the components, as well as analytics. So you've got all that tagging, tracking, what components are on the page, and you can look at that usage data to really help drive platform decisions going forward. So got one platform, one set of components, all of that together, right, helps reduce the time to market for bringing new sites onto the platform. And you get that higher quality experience because everything's consistent in there and modern and aligned with the brand, but you've got flexibility to kind of have that local theme and bring on the brand voice beyond just the corporate out-of-the-box components. And so, if we look at this, right, it's about getting a lot of different sites into that globally centralized platform. When we talk about kind of the capabilities of the platform, from an architecture perspective, right, if we distill it down, there's 100+ sites that use one PIM integration, one digital asset management integration, same for tag and analytics, cookie compliance, search, and locations. It's that ultimate goal, right, of having one platform and one set of integrations that powers multiple different experiences that are all built on that same common foundation that really streamlines things like marketing automation and email marketing and linking out to customer portals and so forth. And so, if we give some examples, right, here's some of the legacy sites, right, looking across 5 different business units, you see they each kind of, they look very different from each other. There's some similarities, but a lot of disparity in the design and the information architecture and so forth. If we flip to the next slide, we'll see that refresh as those brands are in the consistent experience, right? There's some autonomy, there's logo differences and things, and there's differences in what components are used, but, there's a lot of consistency among the businesses and really helps, make everything much easier, both on the marketers and on the customers, right? Marketers have a consistent experience no matter what brand or business they might move to. And customers, when you're thinking of solution selling and selling across business units, they've got that consistent experience within the platform. And so, together all of this, right? Over 200+ components that are enabled with Google Analytics, so everything's trackable and measurable. So obviously there's a lot of flexibility, right? We think of all the components, each page has a handful of them, right? So there's a lot of variety, right? It's not like everyone has to conform to the same set. There is a lot of latitude, but everyone has to use that set of components. 100+ websites, all with that consistent experience, drives over 75,000 leads and inquiries, right? And that's really, in this industry, that's really key, is getting that engagement with the customers and, having them reach out so that you can engage with them and further the conversation beyond what you provide on the web. When we talk about accessibility built in, that really helped increase the overall scores by 20%. And then, we think of scale and authoring and hundreds of sites. There's over 50 authors that manage content across the sites in 30 different languages that support 10 million+ visitors a year. And we know that because everything's tracked through that unified data layer. So we can go to the next slide. I'll turn it over back to Amit, and he'll talk about future roadmap. Thank you.
Thanks, Ben. I'll try to make it fast. I'm just being cognizant of the time. We are so proud of all the results we have attained so far, but we are on a journey. The site migration is going to be a consistent process for us. Out of those 300 websites, we have migrated around 120 websites already on the Sitecore SXA platform, but there are 180 more to go. So we would keep on migrating these websites from the legacy platform to the Sitecore SXA. That is the place we are very excited to see how these new addition to us to the MarTech architecture in terms of the Gen AI, how they are going to help us to automate the migration process and how those going to provide us some intelligence on doing all these website migrations and so on and so forth, and help us generate quality leads from platforms. We would be soon starting our composable journey. We are on Sitecore XM right now, so we will start rewriting these .NET components using React or Next.js and so on and so forth. It is not going to be a big bang for us, of course, because of the huge inventory of the website. We have lots of websites which are very massive, and then there are some small scale or a medium scale websites. So we are going to do an incremental migration from XM to composable first. We'll start with the small scale website by picking up those common components which are being used across all of the websites and have those rewritten into the Next.js or React.js. We will start exploring platforms like Sitecore Personalize, because though we have achieved the consistent user experience, but what we are lacking as of today is to provide a one-to-one dedicated user experience for the website visitors who are coming to our website, so that we can understand where they are in their buying journey, what they are specifically looking for, so that we can provide them a catered user experience on the website altogether. And then in FY26, we would be looking to migrate our Sitecore XM ecosystem to Sitecore XM Cloud. That's all are from my side. If you have any questions, please let us know. Stop presenting.
Thank you very much. Really great presentation. Thanks a lot for sharing. Any question from anyone? I have a quick one on my side. So for the theming, are you just using SXA theming, or you have somehow any design system connected to it?
No, we are using the Sitecore SXA theme. We are using a parent versus child relationship where all the components which are implemented on the platform, those sits into the parent theme. And then if a website is and that parent theme also implement a blue color palette, which is the default color palette for Johnson controls. But if there is a specific website who is looking for a red color palette or a golden color palette, that is a place where a child theme comes into the picture, which only inherit or overrides the color palette from the parent site itself, from the parent theme.
Makes sense. Thanks. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to know your learnings when I started to move composable, move to headless and XM Cloud. Yeah, because those huge projects, as always, of course, challenging but also interesting journey. Yeah, thanks a lot. If there is no more questions, then we're gonna do a 5-minute break, and we continue with Vinay, I think. Vinay, whenever you are ready, you can start.
Okay, so I hope my screen is visible.
Yeah. Oh man, you have the t-shirt.
Yeah.
Lovely.
I had to specially find it out. I had no idea where I had kept it. Okay, so let's get started, guys. So hello, welcome to the SUG France session. Those were some great sessions before me. Kudos on that. So I am going to be presenting on secrets management made simple, some best practices for Sitecore on Kubernetes. A little bit about me. Hello, I am Vinay Jadav. I'm a senior Sitecore developer at Valtech France. I have been a Sitecore developer for around 7+ years now. I am a Sitecore MVP technology here in France since 2 years, 2023 and 2024. You can check out my blog at vinayjadav.com. You can also find my socials there, so I haven't included them here. So the agenda today is going to be it's very simple. We are going to introduce you to Kubernetes and the secrets management. I'm going to show you how you can manage secrets as environment variables. I'm also going to show you the secrets CSI driver and Azure keyword provider for the same. I'm going to show you the steps that to enable that and a small demo, including the structure. And time permitted, we'll have a Q&A session too. So to give a short description about Kubernetes, Kubernetes is an open source system for automating deployment, scaling, and management of containerized applications. It gives you some very good advantages, including, very importantly, load balancing, automated rollbacks, self-healing, horizontal scaling, and secret management. It's also designed for extensibility. I'll show you one of these features in my later slides. So secrets in Kubernetes, a secret is an object which has some sensitive data. It could be a password, your secrets, an API secret, or a key. This can be put inside a pod or in a container image itself. Using a secret means that you don't need to include confidential data in your application code. So you can keep the secret separate, and the confidential data need not be a part of your repository. So you can use secrets for various purposes, the most important one being to set environment variables for a container. You can use them for SSH keys or password for pods. And you can also include some private registries if you want the kubelet to pull a container image from there. So environment variables are secrets. Environment variables for a particular container can be stored as Kubernetes secrets. So these secrets are stored in a base 64 encoded format. They're not encrypted by default. So you can use these create secrets manually using YAML manifests or directly from the command line. In a Kubernetes pod or a deployment, you can inject these secret values as environment variables to be accessed by the application. So these secrets files can be text files or config files. You can create them directly through Lens or through Quebec. So this Kubernetes secret store CSI driver, how we can store secrets as files and config files, but if you would want it to be mounted on a particular volume, you can mount your secrets with a CSI volume. So the secret store CSI driver, which is the secret store.csi.kh.io driver, allows Kubernetes to mount these secrets, the keys and certificates onto a volume. So once the volume is attached, the data in the secrets can be accessed from the container's file system. You can install it using Helm, and this driver helps Kubernetes to integrate with cloud services such as the Azure Key Vault, the Google Secret Manager, or the AWS Secrets Manager. So the Azure Key Vault provider for Secret Store CSI driver is what I'm going to show you here. It offers you several advantages, including central management of the sensitive data for the Azure Key Vault. It gives you the data encryption capabilities, and you can have various access control and monitor versioning also. And by integrating Azure Key Vault with AKS, gives you some secure data storage to access all your secrets from the Key Vault. It's very simple and has seamless integration. It gives you support to the regulatory compliance as an advantage. And the steps to enable the Azure Key Vault provider for Secret Store CSI driver. So one, you'll be creating or updating your AKS cluster with the Azure Key Vault provider. And you are going to create or use an existing Azure Key Vault as per your situation. You'll have to be creating a user-managed identity, user-assigned managed identity on Azure, and which should have a read access to the Key Vault. And you'll be installing the Secret Store CSI driver using Helm, and you'll be creating something called as a secret provider class, which will be a custom resource definition, again, the extensibility part, and a pod, which will consume this CSI provider to initially at least test the connection. So here are some examples. So the first one is how you'd create the secret provider class. As you can see, here we have a name for the secret provider class, and we have all the secrets listed here, and the secrets to be read from the Key Vault will be listed here. And you'd be adding a volume entry to your container spec file, which will be mounted onto your a container, and this is how the Kubernetes reads all your secrets. And how you would read a secret is here you'll have your environment variable name. Here you'll have the name of the secret and the key under the secret. As you can see, a secret can have multiple keys under them. So you'll have a name of a secret and a key under it. So we are going to have a short demo. I'll be showing you the setup that we have. So as you can see, under the K8 specs, we have our multiple environments, and under each environment, we have the specifications for each of our services, CM, CD, RH, ID, which you would all know. All of them are Sitecore services. And under them, you'd have the secret classes. So the secret classes will have your common secrets, RH secrets, and the Sitecore secrets. To begin with, Sitecore secrets will have all of your secrets that are going to be specific to your CM, to your CD, to your identity services, and any other Sitecore service if you have. This is going to have your most basic secrets like your database passwords, your admin password, which you want to be accessed only by the Sitecore services. And then we have a file called RH secrets, which means the rendering host secrets. These are secrets that you want to be accessible by the rendering host only. This file usually grows very huge in size because if you have a rendering host setup, you'd know that most of your APIs, everything are going to be directly accessed by the rendering host. So this is one file. And then you have the common secrets, which are the secrets that you would want both your Sitecore and your rendering host services to be accessed, which includes most commonly your Sitecore API key, the rendering host secret, and some app insights keys also. So this is the setup we have. And what you would also do in a particular service is you see, first we'll be adding a volume mount for the secret store. So as you can see here, we have the CD service. It has the Sitecore secrets and the common secrets mounted. And then you would read all of those secrets one by one as needed, somehow like this. It's similar to the example that I already showed you. As a bonus, I have a script for you which will automate adding a secret in this particular case. So I'll be demoing you the script and how it works. So this is a Python script which uses something called as the RUAML, I think, library to modify and manipulate YML files. So as you can see, it provides you several options like services, which will be the services that you want the secrets to be created for, the environment variable name. The secret name and the object name are optional, only if you want it specifically. So let me show you some scenarios here on how these are used. So you see, I just added the secret to the rendering host whose name is my secret. Let me show you on the Git control on how this change reflects. You see, it adds you a secret called my secret only for the RH secrets because we are adding this secret only for the RH. And then it adds an entry to your RH also for that particular variable. So the environment variable and the secret name is referred from the RH secrets file. I will undo this change and then add the same thing for both the CM and RH. So CM and RH. And now if you notice, the secret is both added to CM and RH. And again, it's added to the common secrets instead of the RH secrets. So the script knows to add to which secret class. So it automates that part for you. And let's say you had a situation where you had, for example, an API secret, so which will have, two different secrets instead of the secret itself. So I'd pass the environment variable name and the secret name. So I want these secrets to be grouped under something called as my API. So when I run this, you see it's added to the RH secrets. And you have the my API and the secret name is different here. It's going to be my API key. And now I'll add another secret under the same group, which will be the name will be the my API secret, and I'd add it under the same secret. When I run this, as you can see, the secret is now added to the same group called my API, and you can see two different secrets under the same group. And it should have also been added to the RH service here. So you see, you have two different environment variables referring to two different secrets. They're both grouped under the same object in your secret class. So I think that's it for the demo. Let me switch to my presentation. So I have some time for questions. If we have any questions, you can raise it now, please.
Yeah, I think we are already out of time, Vinay. So yeah, thanks a lot for presentation. It was really great. Yeah, any question, please write in the chat or reach out directly to Vinay.
Yeah.
Great stuff. So now we're going to...
just a last thing, Miguel. So I have some references here. I'll also be sharing the script that I showed in an article in a few days. Thank you.
Amazing. Thank you. Now, Luck, when you're ready. Yes.
Okay. So thank you all for joining this evening. So I'm very happy to be sharing some of my recent learning with you all. So today I'm here to be presenting you a topic about integrating micro front-end architecture with Sitecore headless Next.js. Before I start, a bit about me. I'm Elakkuvan Rajamani. I have been working as a Sitecore lead developer at Valtech, France since 2021, and I'm two times Sitecore technology MVP. So I have given my both the personal blog as well as the LinkedIn details. Feel free to reach out to me if there is something. For the today's agenda, like we will be seeing a bit of overview about the micro front-end architecture by comparing with the monolithic architecture and how the micro front-end architecture is going to get resolved all the bottlenecks that with the monolithic architecture. Then there are quite a couple of different approaches in which we can achieve the micro front-end. So we will be seeing all of them one by one. Then when we talk about the micro front-end architecture, there will be two main things. One, we'll be setting a shell app, which hosts the micro front-end. So we'll be seeing detailed information about some things to consider while we set up the micro front-end shell app. The next one would be like consuming the micro front-end components that is exposed by the shell app by our Sitecore headless Next.js app. I also have a demo where I will be consuming a micro front-end app onto a Sitecore headless Next.js front-end application. So let us start with seeing about introduction to the micro front-end architecture. With the introduction of the Sitecore headless, I think it is pretty important to have a very proper front-end architecture defined, because it is going to define how our front-end site going to look like, and also like how it going to communicate with the backend. So it is pretty important to choose the front-end architecture well. So there are two types of front-end architecture. The first one is the monolithic front-end architecture. The other one is the micro front-end. So in the monolithic front-end architecture, all our web page components and features are fairly handled in a single and large code base. So because of this, it is very tightly coupled with the backend. Because as you're seeing in the image, we have a web page where it is hosted in a single front-end app. And the single front-end app, even though like the backend services are split into different microservices, here the front-end is only one that is communicating with different backend services. So because of this, the entire application should be running on a single server. There is no way that we can split the front-end app into multiple things and have it running in a different server for the scalability and fault tolerance. It is impossible. Also, like if you'd like to add some additional features onto your existing site, in the front-end app, it will take more time as well, as because you need to redeploy the entire front-end app, and you need to adopt different things within your existing app to make sure there are no issues. This is one of the main bottlenecks with the front-end monolithic architecture. So this bottleneck can be resolved when we move to the micro front-end architecture. So what is the micro front-end? So micro front-end architecture is an architecture pattern that is similar to the microservices to the backend. It basically means the breakdown of a large monolithic app into a different reusable, decoupled, and independent smaller components, which we call it as micro front-end. And because of it is independent and loosely coupled, it is possible to run it independently from each other. So when we talk about the micro front-end architecture, there are three main principles to consider. The first one is the model around the business domain. So that means like each micro front-end. That means like each micro front-end that we have within our application is responsible to carry out one business operation. Say, for example, you have some e-commerce site that you have a search functionality that can be a micro front-end that is responsible to carry out only the search operation. So similarly, you have another micro front-end that is responsible to handle the checkout and check-in functionality. So because it is, and also like each of these micro front-end can be isolated with the different teams. It is not necessary that it has to be always by a single team. Like we can have multiple teams working simultaneously, independently on each micro front-end. Because of it is, it is separated. It is also possible to define it is possible to define different deployment schedules. We can also automate and have each micro front-end gets released in a different deployment cycle, etc. So these are the major three principles of the micro front-end. Now, if we consider the previous example of the monolithic architecture, now as you can see here, the web page is a composition of different micro front-ends, and each micro front-end is communicating with its own microservices at the backend. And as you see in the screen, like it is framework agnostic. So that means like one micro front-end can be running in React, while the other one can also be running in Angular. And say, for example, you would like to add another feature with that following the micro front-end approach. It is also possible to have it running in a completely different framework like Vue. So because it is completely separated and independent, it is also possible to have different teams working on independently on each of these micro front components. Now, if we put all these points together, the advantages of the micro front-end would be like it is technology agnostic. As I have told, each micro front-end app can use different framework library such as React, Angular, Vue, or whatever. And it also enables the decoupled development. Like independent part of the micro front-end components can be developed, deployed, and maintained independently, similar to the microservices to the backend. It is not necessary to have all these components in a single code base, because we can have it separated in a different maintainable code base.
I have a question about your previous slide. If all these three land together in the same web page, how do they run?
Yeah, that's what like I'll be explaining as I go. Okay. So the idea is like we have the micro front-end component that we can consume, that we are going to consume within our Sitecore headless Next.js app. Okay. So at the end, all of them are exposed via JavaScript file with the help of the Webpack.
Okay.
So it does it. It is not required because at the end it is a plain JavaScript file that the browser understands. It is not.
They're not gonna land on browser like that.
Yes.
JavaScript gonna land on browser. Okay.
Okay. So here the maintainable code base because each micro front-end can be maintained in a separate code base. It is not necessary to have it in a larger single code base. And because of all this one, it is possible to release rewrite, and do the upgrades without needing to much worry about the other micro-frontend components. Now, choosing the right approach. So when we start with the project, so there may be doubt which approach to choose, whether it should be a monolithic way or micro-frontend way. If the project is it really depends on the project. If the project is going to be a very simpler one, that is not going to expect more features in future, then the monolithic approach will be simpler because the setting up is very easy. But if we think that the project is like a large enterprise project that is going to like expecting more features getting added as we go, then the micro front-end can be a better option for it. Setting up the micro front-end can be hard, but it gives you a lot of benefits like scalability, fault tolerance, etc. Now, there are different ways that we can achieve the micro front-end, which we call as the integration approaches. Basically, there are two types. One is the build time and another one is the runtime. The build time is just the NPM package way, and the runtime is iframe, routing based web components and model federation, like we will be seeing in detail. If we place all of these different integration approaches onto a slider of a different level of separation, we can say that we can place fairly the NPM package way at the left side of the slider, because it has the lower separation. Because every time you release the micro front-end component as a NPM package, you need to update your consumer app with the updated package to get it reflected. So the separation is very lower, but it is very simple to set up. On the opposite side, if you go with the routing based, it has the highest separation. Here you're going to run each micro front-end as a different application entirely, and then in your consumer app, you're going to place a link and then to define the route. Say for example, when you click that button, do the routing to that particular app which is hosting the micro front-end. And the major disadvantages of this method is no data sharing is possible, because when you click the link, you will be completely landed into a different app. So no data sharing is possible. The next one is iframe. The iframe way is a pretty old one. So here you are going to inject the micro front-end onto the consumer app as an iframe. Here the data sharing is still possible, but iframe is a very old approach because considering the SEO, etc. Next, the web component. Web component is another way to achieve the micro front-end. Here, each micro front-end is generated and released as a web component. At the end, it is going to be a plain JavaScript file, and that file is going to have all the dependencies added into it. And within our consumer app, we are going to refer the JavaScript directly, and then that we will be leaving a placeholder, and that web component is make sure to render that component onto our page. We need to, because it can also going to impact the performance. Yeah. The other one is the model federation. So we can put the model federation slightly, in the middle, because it also gives a bit of separation. But in terms of setting up, it may take more time, and it can be very complex. And because it can also require a rich skill set, to get this model federation set it up. But throughout this session, we'll be focusing on setting up the micro front-end apps using the model federation way. So next we need to see like why we chose this model federation approach, because it is again an architectural pattern for decentralizing the JavaScript application, and it allows it is possible to share the components, the resources between other micro-frontend apps. And with model federation is done with the help of Webpack. With the release of the Webpack 5, there are different features available like code sharing and dependency reuse. If you take about the web component, the dependency reuse is not possible. So each web component that you use should have all the dependency onto it. But with the model federation way, it is possible to define the shared dependencies between the consumer app and the shell app. It also provides a manifest feature, a manifest that it is just a plain JavaScript file that is going to have a different data about your components that are exposed, etc., and runtime plugin system. So what it means is like you can have your own plugin written and then added into your part of the model federation plugin. So you'll be having more control, and would like to have some customizations. It is possible. And the remote type hints, just like the node models, it is also possible to export the types to the consumer app, so that when you try to use the model federation, the types from the micro frontend app will be automatically available onto the consumer app. So next we will be setting up the micro frontend app. So when we try to set up the micro frontend app, so we need to define the architecture. So we need to choose the right architecture depending upon the project requirement and the type of component that you're exposing, etc. And you also have to make sure that there are no compatibility issues between your micro frontend app that you're exposing versus the consumer. And then setting up the base application, like here you will be creating a React or Vue.js app or whatever. Then you're going to define what components you are planning to export. And if there are some shared dependencies between your app and the consumer app, like you will be defining and all those things as part of this step. Then configuring the model federation, like you will be installing the Webpack onto your micro frontend app, where you will be defining all the shared dependencies. And if there is a custom events, you can also, it is possible for us to expose a custom events that the consumer app can trigger. Say for example, like you're having an event that you would like to catch every time the user do the checkout from the consumer app. So you'll be exposing a function from this app that the consumer app is going to call and trigger it with the data if required. And then setting up the CI and CD. So because as I have told, it is possible to deploy part of the micro frontend app, or it is also possible to completely rewrite a feature. So we'll be setting up the CI/CD pipelines if any. Next, consuming the micro frontend app within the Sitecore headless Next.js app. So once we have the micro frontend app ready, we need to prepare our Next.js app in order to consume the micro frontend components. So basically, like you'll be playing around the next config.js file, where because from the micro frontend app, you will be getting a URL that you are going to use within your Sitecore headless Next.js app. You need to define the entry points, and you need to define the name of the exported component, etc. I'll be showing that as part of the demo. As I have told, it is also possible to pass the data from our consumer app, that is the Sitecore headless Next.js app, down to the micro frontend component. So next, I'll be showing a demo on this one. I have created a high-level architecture for the demo that I'm going to show. So here it is a traditional Sitecore headless XM setup. The main area that we will be focusing is the rendering as well as the MFV microfrontend shell app. So as you have seen that the rendering, the Sitecore headless rendering app is an Next.js one, but the microfrontend app that I'm going to use for the demo is based on React. So our rendering is going to consume the components from the microfrontend shell app. I hope so far it is clear. Okay.
Not for Siri, but for the rest is fine.
Okay.
Okay.
So if I show my Docker setup, like I have a micro front-end shell app running. It is based out of React. I also have a rendering, which is our Sitecore headless Next.js app. And this is how the site looks like. It is just one of the Sagan site that I have taken for the demo. And this is, you can notice that this is the URL is headless hub, that is the rendering Sitecore headless rendering app. And here, this is the MFE app that is exposing I mean, the components as a JavaScript file, as I have explained. And this is a manifest file that contains all the components that I have exposed. So this one is having a banner component within this app. So I'm going to consume this within our Sitecore headless app. So I'm going to add the component onto my home page. So for now, the home page is looking like this. So I'm just configuring your component, Sitecore component, which is a banner MFE component. I'm going to add it into the folder. Great. So I have already a data source created. So I'm just choosing this one. Rest, it is fine. And if I expand the data source, you can notice that it has a text, label, and the background image. So all these properties, fields from the Sitecore will be passed down to the microfrontend app. Now I'm going to refresh it. And you can notice that there is a nice banner. This is basically a microfrontend app. Micro front-end component, which is being exposed by this particular shell app. And if I go to the solution, you can see that I have within the front end, within my repo, I have two apps. One is the Sitecore headless rendering app, and another one is the micro front-end app. So if I go here, I have a banner. I have a component banner. It is a very simple one that takes the title, description, an image source from the Sitecore, and then it is just rendering the component. If I go into the Webpack configurations, like here you can notice that I have within the Model Federation plugin, I have given the name as banner MFE. Then I have exposed this particular banner component within the source, features, banner, and the banner component as a banner one. And I also have defined some shared dependencies. And when I do the build, when I do the Webpack build, it is going to generate a manifest file based out of this web.config.js file. which is this one. And now if I go back to my rendering host app, so here within the Sitecore components, I have simply a banner component that I have configured previously in the Sitecore. You see, like here, I have dynamically imported the. I will just show the next.config.js. So here you can notice that the banner MFV is a name, which is it should be similar, exactly the same as this one, what the shell app is exposed. Then the remote URL, the URL of my MFE app, which is this one, and then the file name is like remote entry.js. So that means like our headless app is going to federate the remote component from this particular URL. And then here, if I go back to my MFE component, here you can notice that I have dynamically imported the banner component, the name of the main component name, that is banner MFE, and underneath that I'm trying to import the banner component. Similarly, if there is another component, say for example carousel, the way you'll be importing it is like banner MFE / carousel, and I'm using the Next.js dynamic function, so that makes sure that this one gets imported dynamically, and I have disabled the SSR for this one because I don't want any SSR capabilities for this particular component because it is meant to be running in the client side. So here, so I have imported this as a remote banner, which I am loading it here. So within the remote banner, like I'm getting all the component props from Sitecore, and I'm simply passing it down to the remote component. So that's how this micro frontend component is getting rendered onto our Sitecore headless app now. So for example, if I go back here and if I do some changes, and then now I'm not doing any build, but I'm simply refreshing this one. So you can notice that that one I mean gone. So in this way, like it is possible to redefine or rewrite or do some patch updates to the micro frontend components without affecting our main website. So I hope this is clear.
Yeah.
Nice one.
Great. So a quick question. I imagine that when you use both federation, you cannot use SDK for editing, right? So you cannot edit this component in the experience editor.
No, yeah, I don't think it's not possible.
Cool. Finished?
Yeah.
So we're gonna do like 10 minutes break, and then we finish with the rest of the sessions. Okay? Okay, we're back. Okay, Ram, are you ready?
So we'll be looking into the next generation of building plugins for Sitecore and how the marketplace is going to look. Little about myself. I'm Ramkumar Nambhi, working as a global Sitecore architect at Valtech for the last 4 years, based out in Luxembourg, but from India, and got MVP titles for 3 times, working with Sitecore since 2014. I have put my socials here. Please do connect with me after the session if you're interested to know something about Sitecore. I'll keep the agenda simple, so we'll be doing a retrospective on how Sitecore integrations were, We'll be looking into how the integrations in SaaS landscape should be like. And then we'll be looking into the key concepts of building effective integrations for Sitecore. And finally, what the future of Sitecore Marketplace is going to look like. So retrospective, right? So before I just start into, talking about more on how it looked like, I just have a couple of questions. How many of you have ever used Sitecore Marketplace for pushing your own module or kind of using the module?
I did. I have some KPIs in my previous company to like release something every year.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was useful.
Cool. I used to do myself as well, just one time and never after. But yeah, how many of you know that the Sitecore Marketplace was closed for some time now?
Closed? I just know.
Yeah. So it looks like the landscape has changed so much that we are moved out of this module approach, and no one really remembers when Marketplace was alive last time and how and when it got closed.
Yeah.
So let's do a retro on how it looked like. So it's like getting back in the memory line to see how it was looking. So we used to work with module packages. Actually packages are normal packages where it consists of items and files. So sometimes if you have a good fresh mind, you can start developing with Speak framework. Not so friendly, of course, but if you have this fresh mind, maybe you can start learning and you can start working on that. Or you can also develop your integration or module like an external app. And finally, what I mean by deployed within solution is like, all the artifacts for the module, the file and items are kind of pushed to your file system, which is running your CMS or your CD instance. So now coming to the integration in SaaS landscape, how should we kind of target to build it? So first is like, we have to decouple the dependencies, which means, stop pushing your source code into the, the file system. You should try to have it composable, which means it's not connecting just to your own product landscape, but also to make it open to connect with all the other different products in your ecosystem. And then, you should allow the SaaS product to automatically update your instance. So which means anything that you put in the module shouldn't affect this updates. The next point is like, you should have this effective communication, which means, through APIs and GraphQL queries, you should transfer the data between the integration and also the SaaS platform. And finally, you should have a secure endpoints, otherwise, you're going to expose the data outside the SaaS system or maybe outside the integration. So now, looking at the key concepts, how it's going to look like. So to build an effective integration, I just did a little breakdown what you will be looking into normally. So in any system, the plugin or integration that you're going to create is basically to do some customization. And for that, sometimes you have to do some event listening, which is happening in the system. Then you'll have a bit of integration, which means you're communicating between different systems, like, through APIs or GraphQL. For example, you're connecting with a login or SSO, you're trying to connect with Auto or Okta or whatever it is through APIs or through GraphQL. So integration is like, communication between systems. And finally, the updates. So effectively, to have the integration working without affecting the SaaS platform is to push your module updates, outside the scope of the SaaS platform. So for this, we'll be talking about, for the customization options. So imagine you want to create new buttons or new, ribbon items within Sitecore. We commonly used to kind of, do the Speak framework before. But then most of us, recently we have switched towards the SPE. And I guess like, continuing in the future, Sitecore is still going to be continuing with the SPE framework to have the customization option. But interesting stuff is like, Sitecore is moving towards this plugin approach. The plugin SDK will be provided. This is kind of a common approach towards, all these SaaS platforms and all these SaaS DXPs. they kind of have these plugins that can be used to develop your own customization within the DXP admin console or the dashboard. So I think that will be the way forward to do the customization, but still you can continue to use the SPE if you want to do some basic customization. And next, talking about the event listening, Sitecore recently, I guess, exposed webhooks, which is similar to your events, but again, it is going to do a post with a payload, so which will be listened by the application which is going to receive this information from Sitecore, and then you can do the processing within that particular integration app. So I will not be going through all the webhooks which Sitecore is exposing, but you can do a lot many things. It exposes a lot of stuff during the same event publishing and so on. So going forward to do the event listening, we'll be using the Sitecore webhooks. And coming to the integration capability, there's different approaches you can use. This is what I really like, because going forward, you need to have this flexibility to create your own integration. So if you're licensed to have the Sitecore Connect, you can go with the Sitecore Connect recipes, which of course has a lot of recipes which is published within the Sitecore Connect that you can use to connect with the platforms. Supposing you want to do the Salesforce Connect, or you want to connect with a PIM system or a DAM system, you already have recipes published towards the Sitecore Connect. So if you have the licensing and if you have this flexibility to use Sitecore Connect, maybe that's a good start to kind of use the recipes. The next thing is build your own APIs. So in case if you are limited to not use the Sitecore Connect, probably the next step is to try to build your own APIs. Of course, if you have the customization working within Sitecore and you don't want have your own app, just you can leverage having APIs and function apps to process the data that's being pulled from Sitecore and then pushing the Sitecore data towards another system through APIs or functions. The next thing is having external apps. So this means you can run your own React app or Next app or whatever framework you would like to use to show the information that's there in the Sitecore, and also to kind of read and forward this information to the other systems. So this is the future. This gives a lot of flexibility for the Sitecore developers to build their own integration applications or APIs. Now coming to the push, if you want to now update Sitecore items, so you would probably need to push this information back to the Sitecore. So usually it was kind of hard for us to do the updates from other systems to Sitecore. So usually you're dependent on item service API, or you would be depending on some PowerShell scripts to run this. But now Sitecore has worked on a GraphQL authoring API. If you work with GraphQL, it gives you the ability to work with different types of data. So this is really flexible, and you can work with items. You can work with API. You can work with workflows and so on. So it gives all the flexibility to do all the authoring operations that normally an author is supposed to do within the Sitecore dashboard. You can do all of these within the authoring API. Moving forward. Okay. So now future of Sitecore Marketplace. So we have seen this before, but I just pulled a screenshot from the Sitecore Symposium. The focus is towards the composable and SaaS approach, which is, again, like Miguel mentioned in the start, Sitecore is moving towards the composable and SaaS approach for sure. So it will be kept the same way. We'll have different categories of plugins, different categories of modules or marketplace applications that's published. You'll have app types, we have plugins, we'll have starter kits and so on. And most importantly, it's going to be community driven. So this is why I asked the question at the start, how many people have used, how many people have contributed. So this is going to be an interesting journey for all of you who have already used Marketplace before. It's going to be community driven, which means you'll be able to contribute to it. You can also be a user who will be using the published marketplace applications in your system. So this is the focus for Sitecore. I mean, they want this to be driven by community.
Think it's gonna happen
pretty soon.
Do you think it's going to happen? The community going to work on it?
Yeah, I'm going to show you this one, like how it's going to be. At this point of time, no one really has access to the marketplace, but we have some information on high-level information on how it's going to, how Sitecore is trying to release this marketplace for users. So right now we are in early availability phase, so which means the access to the marketplace is limited to certain partners and clients. So it's like a closed net. People who are going to work with certain modules that can be published to the marketplace, but it's going to be a collaborative approach rather than an open approach where all the developers are going to push the marketplace apps. So after this early availability phase, I think the next phase will be general availability. So during this phase, we will see Sitecore releasing a SDK. So this is an interesting journey, interesting phase, because it will be Sitecore is pushing this SDK, which can be used by the developers. Possibly it's going to be open source, like they have for the front-end frameworks. It means like developers can start creating their own marketplace application using the SDK. And when it comes to the applications, sometimes those integration applications, like I mentioned before, if it's API or your own custom integration app, it needs to be hosted. And looking at the statement which Sitecore has put in here, it seems like Sitecore is going to support the deployment and hosting of the private application, which is really interesting one. So it's not just a place where you can download the application. It's also a place where the user, the hosting of the application is also going to be provided. And finally, it's going to be enabled for all the customers and partners. So general availability is going to be a turning point, in my opinion. And then the last phase is going to be the V1, where the first version of the marketplace will be released. So this will be, support and deployment of application, with all the quality checks and security checks that will be put in place. So it means like it'll look like how it was before. So when you when you try to upload your packages in the legacy marketplace, so normally what happens is like someone is going to review your module before it's being approved for the public's use. So that's how it used to function. I think Sitecore is trying to put this in place at the last V1 version, like when it starts with this particular phase. And then the support, it's going to support the deployment like in the previous phase, and finally it's going to enable self-service marketplace registration flow for the developers, which means developers can go and fill in a form where they can put all the information for the plugin or for the app or whatever they have created for the marketplace use, and then the journey is going to start for the developers themselves to put this in the marketplace and then get it reviewed and get it published. So it's going to be an interesting one. Hope we get a chance to work on this, and I'm pretty sure most of you are really eager to see how it's going to function, and I'm pretty sure you are going to also work with the SDK. So I don't have any more information about the marketplace, and I'm looking forward to have more info from Sitecore in the coming days. But do you have any questions at this point in time?
Yeah, thanks a lot, Ron.
Thank you.
Nice one. Now we have Neil.
Hey everyone, let me just share my screen. You see my screen okay?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to be sharing a presentation that I gave at SUGCON Europe back in April. It's called How to Build a Low-Code, No-Code OrderCloud Back-Office Application. For those of you who don't know me, I'm a technical director at Valtech. I've been working with Sitecore for over 10 years, and I'm a 5-time Sitecore MVP from 2018 to 2023. I lead our Sitecore Craft Circle at Valtech as well. That's a community with over 500 enthusiasts. And I am from Ireland and currently located in Atlanta, Georgia in the USA. And there's some contact info for me as well. You can reach out to me on multiple channels, and I have my blog listed there too. So, pillars of modern e-commerce. To be successful in e-commerce, you need a great product, a vision, and the right technology stack to help you execute and support your vision. We've recently seen a shift from the monolithic all-in-one e-commerce platform and towards a more modern composable platform. And these modern platforms provide greater flexibility. This allows development teams to make changes easily and roll out new features much quicker than before. And they can easily integrate with other systems. With the explosion of the channels we have available today, it's important that to create a seamless customer experience across all those channels and touch points. And no two businesses are the same, and so they all have different customer bases and different user journeys and requirements. And while all commerce platforms share a common set of features, these should be easily customizable to meet those specific needs of the business and how it evolves. It also needs to be scalable, so as the business grows, the platform needs to be capable of handling that increased traffic without any performance degradation. And there's a link there to Sitecore's blog or post where they talk about the 5 pillars. So OrderCloud, it's Sitecore's modern SaaS commerce platform. Due to its high degree of configurability, it is capable of handling complex B2C, B2B, and B2X scenarios. It is headless, and through its powerful features and headless REST API architecture, you can assemble a commerce solution to meet your client's exact requirements. So whatever functionality the client needs, you can build it. You're not tied in or trying to, fit things into like a round hole or a round object into a square hole, things like that. So I attended Klaus Peterson's session at SugCon titled Retail Order Management, the Real Examples, in which he described simple and more complex omnichannel user journeys in retail. So it was really insightful and how you really need to think about each of the journeys as they directly impact how you go about constructing your OrderCloud solution and configuring each of its entities. So before you get into it, you really need to look at, and he listed a bunch of different scenarios. So whether it's buying in store or buying online and picking up in store, or buying online, picking up in store with your own stock or with an external customer's stock or client stock. Lots of complex things to consider. Peter or Klaus also received Sitecore's MPV Red Jacket, which is the first time this was awarded for his contribution to the community this year at Symposium. So congratulations. This is a comment that he had said, thinking about all the scenarios drives the operational approach to e-commerce. So you really need to think about those various scenarios and touch points that your customer is going to interact with your brand. Now, describing OrderCloud to a potential client can be a bit of a challenge. It's something I've found anyway, as it's a bit of a black box, right? The features are all hidden away behind this REST API. And while you can completely customize any buyer or seller application, you need to build them, right? Which is its strength, but it's also can be a challenge when you're trying to, hey, what does it look like? What do I get out of the box compared to what they have in these monolithic platforms that they might have currently? So as you can build the exact requirements after you've determined the operational approach, to help you build it, OrderCloud does provide some developer tools, SDKs, and sample implementations to kind of help you get started. So what are those? So the interactive API console, it's the only thing that you get that resembles any kind of user interface out of the box. It allows you to run queries against your data, and it's being described in the community as Postman on steroids. It's a pretty slick tool, but it's not an interface that is aimed at the business users for accessing their data. The Sitecore demo team, they created the Play Summit, which is a headless commerce solution built to showcase the power of Sitecore Composable, DXP, using Sitecore XM or more recently XM Cloud. It uses Content Hub, CDP, Personalize, Discover, and OrderCloud, which is great for demos if you want to convey what is possible or simply just want to learn. Again, Head Start React Admin. This is a custom seller interface, right? It's an example of an application built on top of the OrderCloud JavaScript SDK. Again, it's not a production-ready application. I've heard some people saying, let's just use this to get started. Actually, some people I was speaking to at Symposium were planning on doing that, taking that approach as well. But again, it's it's built to teach developers how you can implement a back office application using the OrderCloud SDK and the APIs to get at that data that you see exposed via the console app. It was built using React, Next.js, TypeScript, Chakra UI, and various other tools. Features include the ability to manage your data, products, prices, catalogs, promotions, buyers, users, user groups, addresses, security, orders, and returns. So whatever you need, you can build it, right? But you need the budget, you need developers, and time to build it as well. And that goes whether it's a full-blown e-commerce website or all those tools that your business users within the business might need. With the onset of the pandemic, most companies had to accelerate those initiatives, right? Everyone wanted to get online. They wanted to keep ahead of their competitors because everyone was shopping online. They couldn't go to stores. So many discovered that there was a shortage of the available skilled resources that they had capable of implementing these projects and started looking at alternatives being offered through low-code and no-code platforms. So according to Gartner, 70% of new applications developed by organizations will use some kind of low-code or no-code technology by 2025, up from less than 25% in 2020. So there's been a steady increase in the number of low-code platforms, while existing platforms have been adding low-code and no-code features to their existing platforms, like Sitecore. If, for example, you've used Sitecore Personalize, where you've created decision models, that is a low-code, and you've drag and dropped some of those components to create your onto the canvas to create that decision model. That is a low-code, no-code approach, right, for building those decision models. Again, Sitecore Connect, that is Workato under the hood, and it's a low-code, no-code platform to automate some of your business processes and integrations with other systems. Sitecore 10.4. They provided the ability to customize the visitor profiles without needing a developer, and that was always a task that a developer would have to do. And then at Sitecore Symposium, obviously, we heard about Sitecore Stream with its use of AI and intelligent co-pilots to be able to streamline some of the marketers' tasks, allowing them to bring their digital experiences much quicker to market. So when you look at the benefits that these low-code, no-code platforms offer to businesses, it's not difficult to see why that the use and the rise are increasing. Obviously, low-code, no-code, they provide a democratized delivery of applications by enabling more people within the business to get involved in ideation, create POCs, and implementation of tools that help the business to help support the business. They promise to reduce costs as applications can be built much quicker and in theory by non-technical people. This can have a significant reduction in costs. Using these platforms enables applications and new features to be delivered much quicker than traditional methods. This accelerated time to market enables the businesses to move more agile and gives them a competitive edge. And again, improved efficiency by enabling non-technical folks to deliver or manage some features or enhancements themselves. This provides some efficiencies, right? So we don't always need to allow the technical team to get involved, and it allows the more technical folks to focus on more critical applications. So you may have heard the term citizen developer, the idea of non-technical users developing solutions. It's nothing new, right? The term citizen developer, it was actually first used by Gartner in 2009, but it's grown in popularity as we've seen the rise in low-code, no-code platforms. So these individuals have little to no coding knowledge and work outside of IT, so the business users, and yet they possess the ability to create some of these custom applications for themselves. For themselves and for other individuals in the business. They leverage the low-code, no-code platforms with visual interfaces that allow them to drag and drop and builders to connect components and create some interfaces without really needing to code anything. While traditional developers, most folks here on this call, we get the benefit from low-code, no-code tools as well. We kind of always have, right? So development tools from when I've started, and I've been in this industry for a good 20 years, it's been advancing, right? There's always things have always gotten better. From the very first tool that I use for development applications, it's been increasing. Obviously, as we're seeing the use of AI, while you might think, well, there's less for me to do, there's actually other things that we can focus on, and we can obviously move into more of a consultancy role in helping these citizen developers, or help them with some more of those challenging tasks that they may run into. So while I was kind of exploring some of the low-code, no-code tools, I came across Retool, and I was quite intrigued by it. I was reading some articles on it, and it's targeted. It's a low-code tool. It's targeted at developers and engineering teams, and they use it to streamline some of their own applications within businesses. And it supports REST APIs, GraphQL, and SQL, and allows you to create POCs, simple applications, in hours and days rather than weeks or months, right? So while exploring the platform, I kind of got thinking, well, maybe why not try and build something with it, right? What could I build? And obviously, the back office application that comes with Head Start React admin, I thought, well, maybe I could try and build something like that using the APIs that are available via OrderCloud, and build a similar application just to see how long it would take. So if we have some time, I will give a quick demo. So this is the application that's running that I built. We've got the dashboard. I don't know if you've ever seen the React admin tool, but there's a dashboard. It allows you to manage your products. You can go and view product details. We've got all the images. See all the information that's stored in OrderCloud about this product. I can manage promotions, orders, returns, buyers, and suppliers. Oh, hang on. Let's create some supplier, a list for managing the suppliers. So I'll switch to the editor. So here we have the editor view. We've got a canvas in the middle. We've got a bunch of components that can be dragged and dropped here on the left-hand side. I've obviously gone ahead and created some, these are like my coding components I have in here. So I'm calling some of the APIs within OrderCloud. So I've got get suppliers here, and if I run that, it will give me a list of the suppliers. So I was hitting OrderCloud, my sandbox, and pulling out a list of suppliers. You can see the response there. I've got multiple items of suppliers, and these suppliers were all the sponsors at the SubCon event. So I will go to the suppliers page. I've got this container here, and I'm going to drag the table list, the table view, onto my container. And you can see there it's automatically inferred because I've got the get suppliers query selected here. It's gone ahead and automatically inferred that that's what I want to display within this table. So really smart. I didn't have to do anything, didn't have to do any wiring up or anything. And I can obviously modify that. You can remove and hide some of these fields as well. Let's see, hide column, it's gone. I'll put it back in again, show column. I can filter. So filter by name. Right. We can change the filter logic as well, and I think you can control some of these components that appear here out of the box. You can put page in and stuff like that in. So it's all listed here. Let's see, what are so there's a search. You can have fuzzy match, you can have case sensitive, things like that, and that's all out of the box, right? So very clever. So the next thing I want to do is I want to do an update or create event on this table, right? So I want to be able to edit one of these entries. So I've gone ahead and obviously I've created a query again. That's just calling a put request within OrderCloud, where I'm passing in the supplier form. So what I'll do is I will rename this table. Let's see, our table. Okay. And I will drag the form on. Let's see, where is the form? Here. And it's giving me a few options. I can add components manually. So get a list of components, so you can see all the various fields and stuff that I could add into that. So you got a long like text inputs, number inputs, select inputs. So quite a large number of various components that could be added to that form. Or you can build it. If I close that, I can generate it from a table. So it sounds like a really simple and straightforward approach. So I will click generate from table. And from here, I should have the option. I can select any table that I've got within my application. Let's see if I can find the supplier. There's the supplier table. So here's the various fields that are in the supplier table. I can choose some. I will remove date, create it, because that's an automated field. And I will make, I've got some options here to make fields required or not. So I will uncheck the active and uncheck that one, which is all buyers can, because it's just a checkbox. And the JSON editor, I'll uncheck that as well. And I'll tell it to generate my form. And there we go, it's generated my form for me, and it's already wired up this first one. I will call this form supplier form. Okay. And next thing I want to do is I'm going to wire up this button to actually call the let's change the title. Let's see. Form. Okay. And I will wire up this button. And I will change the interaction type to be in default rather than a submit button. And let's change the text to, let's see, update. And I want to add some interactions. So some event handlers. I actually call my create or update supplier. So I've got some options here. I've got some actions. I can obviously, by that clicking that button, I can either control a query or control a particular component, run a script, and a bunch of other options here as well. So I want to run a query and selected my create update because I've just got it selected down here, and it's inferred that that's maybe what I want to call. And the method is trigger. And that's it. That's all I need to do. I will also add another event. I want to, after it's ran the update, I want to call the get suppliers. So this data gets refreshed. So I will call get suppliers. And that should be listed here. Get suppliers. Again, nothing else I need to do. I want to trigger it. What are my other options? I can reset clear cache. So I'm just going to trigger it and close that. And then I want to call this refresh on the table as well. So it'll just refresh after obviously the data is being retrieved. So I'll add another event handler, and these are also being stacked one after the other. And you can control the amount of time that you give between each of the events. So this one, I am going to update the component. I'm going to find my supplier table. And I'm going to call refresh. And that should be it. Oh, and I'll give it 500 milliseconds just to allow some time for the query to respond. Okay, and that should be it. Let's just make sure that these are, yeah, so you can see that I'm able to switch between different suppliers. If I Sitecore, Sitecore Rocks, and I see it's been updated here. Send it to OrderCloud, and it's responded and updated the information that's being provided in the list. Some other clever things you can do with this table. Let's add a row action to actually delete an item. And you can edit in line as well in this table, some more complex things. But I just want to show you a few things, how quickly it is. So we've got this row action here. I will add a action. I'm going to give it a label delete. And let's find an icon. Icons are very important. I'm going to search for trash can. Choose a trash can. Yep, that looks good. And then I will add a event handler. And the event I want it to run is our delete query. So I have a query that will delete, delete supplier. I'm going to trigger that, and that should be good. And just a little trick that I learned. Again, like it took me a couple of days just to figure out this how the application retool worked itself. And so I've got this delete supplier here, and there's this advanced tab. So basically, you can see what I'm doing here is a delete method that I'm calling, and this is the obviously I've got the API. It's a variable. You can see what it's set to, and then I'm passing in the path to the actual API method, and then passing in the selected row ID. That's how I'm calling that. And then I've got this advanced tab, so I can show a confirmation before actually running it, which is really cool. And this is the message that I want to be displayed. Are you sure you want to delete this supplier? So you can see now that this delete icon that I just added is appearing. If I click that, it should give me a little pop-up. Are you sure you want to delete this supplier? Yes. And it's gone. And that is it in a nutshell. Let me switch back to my PowerPoint. Thank you, everyone. If you have any questions and we have time for them, please go ahead. And these are my contact details if you want to reach out to me.
Yeah, really great ones, Neil. Thanks a lot. I don't think we have time for Q&A because we have the last session from Ehsan. But yeah, thanks a lot.
No problem. Really thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for joining. I'm a bit scared about AI and low-code, no-code. I mean, the future of developers, it's a bit risk. Yeah, thanks. Ehsan?
Oh, okay, sure. So, this is the last one, not very complicated, so I'm a bit tired, but it's not a big one, but it's cool and it's a small bite. So, LCNC and Codespaces. First of all, I'm Ehsan Aslani, and I'm a Sitecore Expertise Director at Valtech France. And I've been doing Sitecore and development for many years. I don't remember how long. But today I'm going to discuss about running LCNC in Codespaces. So GitHub Codespaces, if you're not familiar, it's a cloud-based development environment, which basically creates a virtual machine for you in the cloud, and you can actually set up all your development environment. The good thing is that it can be pre-configured. You can just quickly create development environments. It supports a remote first development, so people at the remote location, they don't need to set up their local desktop, and you can work everywhere. You can work through your browser, or you can connect it to your desktop IDEs, such as Visual Studio Code. And the onboarding of new developers could be faster, as we spend a lot of time for setting up the development environments. Also, they introduced the concept of dev containers, which allows for instant actual environment setup within the dev containers, which are basically Docker containers, and you can also have Docker file, include your Docker file in the dev container setup. I will show you a bit. And the constant port forwarding, which basically allows you, your workspace will have a public URL. So your web application you're developing would be easily accessible without you going through actually any additional steps to make it accessible. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to show how we can do development using Codespaces for LCNC. And then I want to make sure that the pages and experience data are also connected and it can work. And the big advantage for this way is, first of all, you don't need Docker, you don't need any setup. And also it works easily with the page editor, so it's very fast. And let's go to the demo. I quickly want to show you how to use it. It's very easy, basically. It's quite fast to set up a development environment. Let me switch to my browser. Okay. All right. To just save some time, I have done part of the book, but this is the repository which I have created using the LCNC Foundation actually repository, the template. And I want to actually use this with the Codespaces. On the other hand, to just save some time, I have created an an environment in XM Cloud and connected it to the repository which actually I created. And okay. And also I created a website just for testing for this demo, just to show you, save time. So when we have the repository, it's very easy to create the Codespaces. It just takes minutes. And first thing that we need to do, we need to set up the dev container configuration, right? And I will show you how. Okay, so right-click on the three dots. There is a configure dev container, which basically what it does is creates a dev container folder and a dev container JSON inside it. So I'm going to add my own dev container.json actually content here. And I will quickly show it to you. This is the name, which not critical. As you can see, I've chosen a .NET 6 image to support for CLI, right? The .NET tooling. And also the Node.js server as a feature is added, right? And the port forwarding, right, which I want to use port 3, and the visibility to be public, so everyone can see, right? Okay, so I basically commit these changes and create actually the container JSON, as you can see. Now I can actually create a Codespace, right? So this Codespace will actually take the dev container and create the environment actually based on that. So it will take a minute to create this space. And meanwhile, I need to connect this to my XM Cloud instance. So I'm gonna need some developer settings. So you can grab it from here. Okay, that's all. I need this, and let's just wait for the Codespace to be completed. So what I'm doing first, I will also add the environment variables to connect the source control in this Codespace to my XM Cloud instance, and then I need to do a little bit of tweaking at the actually XM Cloud site also to make sure that it can work with the pages. All right. Should be ready soon.
Does it have any? This is free code spaces, or it's?
Yes. So there is pricing tiers. This is free Codespace. You can basically set the specifications of the Codespace. You can adjust it, and yes.
So if you increase the tire, it will be faster. It will be
Yes.
faster.
If you increase the tire, it will be faster. This is the free. This is the lowest.
For individuals, I think you get 120 hours per month, right, on the lower tier.
Yes, on the lower tier. Yes.
120 hours that you could be connected here.
Yeah.
And once you finish, either you have to pay or you won't be able to see this anymore.
Oh yes, then you need to use the paid version.
It's going to spin up the containers.
Okay, we're done.
It's like you get the environment running in Visual Code.
So first I need to set the variables. As I said, okay. Well, first I need to set the variables, so I will create my local. Okay, this is good. And we're good here, so I'm gonna try to run it. So npm install. Looks like there is something wrong with my code space. Okay, let's see.
Something wrong with the container.
So I think the code space was not created successfully.
Command failed.
Failed to create container. Yeah.
Couldn't build the container.
Yeah, I need to create actually a new one. So let me see that their container is okay. Just want to make sure I have nothing wrong here. Good, that's fine. And let me try again. Delete this.
So you could have your whole headless Sitecore running and this, but no, you need to have your XMCloud instance separately. Here, you will just run your node.
Yes, you will have your you will just run the rendering host here, right? And then connect your XMCloud to use this rendering host. And this way, then you can work with the pages also.
And you can run Sitecore and container.
No, but I mean, with Marketplace and with SaaS, normally we are not going to do any customization on the XM, right? So normally the flow is changing now, and we're gonna do only development on the front end.
Correct.
So there's no need to create custom resolvers, no need to do anything in customization in XM. So it should be like the front end workflow for development, and that, as we know, I mean, you connect to the rendering host and you do all the work there.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's similar to the Git pod. Git pod.
Yeah, it's similar. Yeah, it's similar. But this is like you have Visual Code running in the cloud, and you can connect from anywhere. You don't need even your laptop. So
exactly.
That's when you
need your local.
Anywhere.
You can just work in the browser.
Yeah.
Okay, so looks like it's created, and you can see the ports also, the port forwarding actually is there. So hopefully this time.
Find the same config, you created it again, and this time it's running.
It's the demo
effect. Okay. And also for the M local, you can get all this information from XMCloud portal quickly.
And it's that easy. We just do npm install, and then we can run it in the connected mode.
Do you have any limitation in the hard disk space?
For this one?
Yeah.
Yes. The specs actually, I can send the specs later. The free version, I forgot. I remember 2 gigabytes of RAM, and the space I forgot. But I will let you know.
So like if your npm is large, it's gonna get full right now. Like it won't continue.
Oh no, you're not that limited.
The minimum is 128 gigs. So,
yeah. So normally your NPM is that big.
So then I'm gonna try npm start connected, and it should actually run our application. But yes, I'm on the URL, which is accessible for me. But I need to do one more step to make it visible to the Excel cloud.
in the dev container JSON, you can specify the host resource like CPU, memory, and
you can
storage.
specify the resources from there also. Yes, you can basically the full configuration of the machine development environment can be there, and you can just quickly spin it up. Yeah. And okay, so all right, so I'm gonna this is the 3000 port which I want to use for my application. I'm going to go ahead and do the port visibility. I want to make it public first. And the URL I want to actually access my application through is this one. So I want to show you. And yes, it wants to connect to that, so it should be okay. And hopefully we should be able to see our Sitecore application, our website. And if you have noticed the information, the site name also was in the local variables which I actually added.
And page is loaded, but it's empty.
It can't be empty. That's not expected.
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna try again.
I mean, it also supports, the monorepo pooling like NX, Turbo. No.
We need to customize the startup. We need to customize the way how the app starts. The app starts in Git pod it gives the JSON, but I saw a moment back a JSON file can be created.
So it is possible.
It's possible. Just you know, you just tune the startup script.
Okay, let's try again. No, I think I have here. Okay, let me try to set up the Sitecore side. So once actually set on the XM Cloud at the source control side, we need to do some setting at the Sitecore side also. We need to add a new rendering host. Okay, settings, services. I'll add a new rendering host, and let's say for this is the endpoint URL for the editing would be this one as /API as /editing as /render, and the application URL would be this one. And we can the application name is actually same as our Next.js application name, which is Next.js starter, and we can basically should be able to find it in the package.json. Yeah. So this name should match. And yes, this is our Codespaces. Now I need to configure my website to actually use these Codespaces. So I go to the site groupings. I can set the host name, which should be actually the same as the yeah. So I set the host name here. Okay, yes. And then the predefined application rendering host, I set it to the one which I created. So that should be it. And now I should be able to actually use the pages in my website and see the changes there. So I'm gonna try, let's say, with the home page. Okay, something is wrong with my website, I guess. That's why I don't. Yeah, I'm sorry, I don't have much time, so I cannot complete this, but something has happened here. I'm not sure why in the demo, but the expectation is that then, even with the pages editor, when you make some changes, you should be able to actually visit in the pages and in the front end, which unfortunately I couldn't complete this demo. And I think we don't have much time left for me to create a new website, right?
Yeah, don't worry. Demo it's internal. Yeah, but interesting stuff. I think, yeah, GitHub Codespaces, yeah, it's a great tool, especially as we were saying, like, you don't just stay with your laptop, your workstation, you can continue working from anywhere.
Yes.
So, yeah, great stuff. Yeah, that was the last session. So, thank you, everyone, for joining today. And yeah, again, please feel free to join us in all cycles to get notifications. I'm pretty sure we're gonna be organizing the next one soon. Yeah, thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you.